Good evening, viewer. This is GMI Television. It's an online television channel, and of course we are on different platforms, that is YouTube, Facebook and Instagram. All you need to do is go to YouTube and type in GMI-TV Uganda. Even your Facebook page and Instagram, you'll be able to know what we are doing there. We have a variety of programs that we are lining up for you, and for now this is the MIRROR program. The MIRROR program, we normally discuss issues pertaining social, economic and political in nature, and of course ranging from local, national, regional and international issues. And of course in our maiden show, we are bringing you what transpired, the lockdown, starting from March. The lockdown started in March. You remember very well, the President of Uganda, His Excellency General Yoweri Museveni, announced the lockdown in March, around 18th, and several measures were put in place to control the spread and the contraction of coronavirus. Among other measures, we had the schools and all the education, the entire education sector were locked down. We started with that, and he announced, like on 18th, giving several days to ensure that all the people who had children in boarding schools and those ones who were studying from elsewhere far away from their home should go back home. We saw the rush hour in Kampala here. The city center was full of traffic jam. In fact, traffic jam tripled. Other townships suffered the same. Parents who had sent their daughters and sons to school were saddened to hear that the president has announced, as a measure of controlling the spread and the contraction of coronavirus in the country, schools were suspended. And you remember very well, if you are a parent, you have already spent a lot in school fees, and now the budget for home was limited for a few people who had remained at home. It was so severe and so sad, but nevertheless Ugandans had to obey the presidential orders, and they had to get back their sons and daughters to ensure that they are safe at home. And the Ministry of Health, together with the President, had several measures, and these measures were by all means standard measures announced by World Health Organization, like no social gatherings, that is to maintain the social distance required of 4 meters away from each other. Individuals should maintain 4 meters from each other, and that means the schools would not operate anymore. And then it is even not only schools, all social gatherings were also suspended. Schools, to start with, churches, social functions, weddings, introductions, they were all suspended at once. And then later, the transport, public transport and private transport, it was also suspended. And this gave rise to people could not travel. There are those ones that were trapped elsewhere and they cannot travel back home. Then there are those ones who are wanted to travel, maybe do some business, and even the business were also locked down. Apart from a few essential services like medical, media, production, and then the food sector left open. Whoever was selling, whoever was dealing in food distribution or any food or agriculture sector was left open, because food is very important, and if people don't eat, there is a likelihood of, if you get riots in your stomach, then definitely people can even riot. But the president was prudent enough to leave that sector open so that people can get food, and even transportation was left open for food. That's why lorries could move day and night without any restriction. Curfew, the dusk to dawn curfew was was put in place, and this was not barring lorries, more especially those ones of cargo and food. So it was a good move by the president to ensure that people are safe and adhering to all other measures. Those ones that traveled and those sectors that remained open were required to fulfill the health guidelines, like putting centers where they could do, those ones entering and getting out would sanitize and wash their hands with soap and running water. Yes, wearing of masks, all those were measures. And we even saw when concerning food, people rushed to stock the essential food items. We saw people buying beans, buying maize flour, buying rice in quantity, in big portions, and that was scary. It was so scary, and because people were expecting scarcity, but nevertheless Uganda is endowed, and we are privileged that there was plenty of food for people to eat. Matoke, Irish, sweet potatoes, cassava. We were okay. We were okay indeed. But people rushed to stock some food items because they anticipated for scarcity. And then the president warned those who could hoard, who had an intention or intentions of hoarding. You know, you have a lot in stock, but you don't want to bring your stock to the market for people to buy because you are anticipated for increase in price or doubling of price in the future, so that you can make more money. That is hoarding in economic terms. But the president warned them that if you dare hoard food, you'll be in for it. And besides, you will get food from elsewhere to feed the nation. So the president, His Excellency, the President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, we thank you there. We salute you, sir. And also through that situation, Ugandans and elsewhere in the world celebrated Easter under the lockdown. And I think this should be written in the Guinness Book of Records. It has never happened. Churches are closed. People are told to stay at home, pray from home, celebrating Easter, and even later on, Eid was so spectacular to the extent that the churches, the gates to churches were having padlocks. Nobody went to a church during Easter. Nobody went to a mosque during Eid. People prayed from home. There are those ones who managed to get something to eat special, something special to eat for Easter, and even there are those ones who did not manage. So, whatever the case, it is even the time when people reflected that celebration of Easter, that is the resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ, is not only eating and feasting, but also a reflection on the way how you are living your life, your spiritual life. So once some sections of Christians realized that, they felt at home with the celebrations when they are not having any special meal. And of course, the budgets in people's houses, people's homesteads were very tight. Instead of buying, but besides buying special meals, you know, those that they call special meals to some people would be chicken and meat. Chicken and meat at that time was it was not expensive as expected, because the hotels were closed. The hotels were under the lockdowns, restaurants were under the lockdown, and that means the chicken suppliers, the poultry farmers suffered a lot, because they had to lower the price of their birds, of their products, meaning that chicken and meat was relatively not expensive. So if you did not enjoy chicken, as these boys, as you can see, fearing that it was expensive, no, it was not expensive. It was just dondoro, as you know it. And of course, as we continued with the lockdown, we saw the dusk to dawn curfew, which had to go on concurrently with other measures. People were expected to stay at home, and those ones who traveled would make sure that at least by 7 in the evening, no more movements. The security was patrolling, roadblocks were all over, so no more movements at 7. And then, apart from those essential workers that had permits, the permits that were given out by the Ministry of Works and some resident district commissioners or resident city commissioners, RDCs and RCCs, were given the mandate to give permits for special incidences. If you had a wife or your daughter or your sister in need of traveling maybe to the hospital because an expectant mother, definitely you are required to get a document the day before traveling. That would help you to move either at night or during the day, because that was mandatory. And of course, curfew made very many to be locked out, to be locked up. Those ones who violated, and maybe those ones who traveled and they could find themselves maybe because of jam, they cannot get back home earlier before the curfew starts. Sometimes the security was so tight, and nevertheless we complied, and the security had to take its course and to ensure that the safety of the people and adhering to the measures put in place by the ministry. And the Ministry of Health, together with World Health Organization, had several special measures, like washing hands regularly with running water and soap, wearing of masks, and staying at home if you had no work, because the entire sectors of the economy were locked down. So where were you going? We saw some people during that time, they have no work, but they are moving. This, I think, was attributed to people stayed at home and they got tired. We saw men, we saw women more especially the breadwinners, moving aimlessly. It was so severe. Staying at home, you are not contributing anymore towards what is brought on the table. It was so severe. But a man would just move out and maybe in anticipation of getting something to bring home for the children. But it was so severe, and slowly we moved on. The government had a program of feeding the most worst districts, like the worst hit districts like Kampala and Wakiso, and food distribution and exercise took place. So the exercise continued irrespective of what is available and what is not available. Government had got enough food item to serve these two districts. There are some other districts that wanted or needed help, and government was promising. Among these two districts, that is Wakiso and Mukono, Wakiso rather, and Kampala, I witnessed it myself, because as I was doing my work as a journalist, I would move with convoys of security personnel, that is Uganda UPDF, then Uganda police, and then prisons officers, plus the Red Cross that we are mandated to distributing food. And they moved house to house and from different distribution centers to ensure that people get food. And in Kampala here, they launched the distribution in Kisenyi. And surprisingly, after several months of distribution, some time of distribution, the places where they started from, people were asking for more food, meaning that the situation was dire. They asked for more food, and the government again had these reports would pass through the media, and government adhered to the cries of people that they need more food, irrespective of they have. As we approached the elections time, politicians felt like they need to distribute food to their electorate, and this did not go well with the government, because food distribution was only a mandate of government, not any other politician or any other body. Apart from a few pastors who did the work, like Pastor Senyonga of Christian Life Church, and other pastors elsewhere who afforded to distribute food to people who were in need. And even government said that those ones who wants to distribute food, like politicians, will pass through religious leaders. But some politicians wanted to distribute food physically by themselves and their members, which was not allowed. You remember very well, FDC former president, retired Kanu Kiza Besigye, wanted to distribute food. He was blocked. The new People Power president, Honorable Robert Chagulanyi, wanted to distribute food. He was blocked. And then those ones who were adamant, like Honorable Zake of Mitiana municipality, he started distributing food allegedly, and of course he was blocked by the police and arrested. So he suffered, allegedly was beaten up by the police, and this transpired several other riots by supporters in city center here. A group of supporters came from Kawempe and around the Wandegia. They were arrested by the police. They were chanting Zake, Zake, release Zake, something of that nature. And of course, as the arrests were taking place, some other guys were arrested too from Katanga. It was not clear whether they were part of the group, but some colleagues of theirs were claiming that these guys are innocent and they are supposed to be released because they are not part of the demonstration. So all that happened. And yes, still as we moved on with the lockdown, the arcades and arcade owners, you remember very well that opening up of those areas, Chikubo was operational, much as the SOPs, operational standard procedures, were relatively, water was there, but the number of people in terms of social distancing was too minimal. It was not there. And around town, some places were too congested. And even when you go there right now, you could see a number of people congested and not bothering at all. I think that one should be checked by the government and the enforcement. So in one way or the other, it is the one that might have be bringing the number of those one contracting the disease to hike. So we call upon the authorities to check that, because you look at Chikubo, you look at some other places, Arua Park and other places, too congested. So anyway, what can we do? Chikubo is a hub. It's an economic hub for several countries in East Africa. Those ones who are coming from Rwanda, those ones are coming from Tanzania, those ones are coming from Burundi, they come to Chikubo for shopping. So what should the government do? And it is upon the government to see what it can do, because the number is increasing and that one scares us so much. Elections is underway, and of course it is the Electoral Commission in charge together with the government. So the Electoral Commission is trying to ensure that this is scientific, becomes scientific, and scientific elections, as you know, campaigns no more. If you want to do campaigns, you make sure that you are on social media, you are on TV, you are on radio, and the gathering of people. However, we have seen the voting is being done. The youth voting, the LC3, the council LC3. Yesterday, we saw voting by lining up. It is not scientific. And we see, much as the SOPs are also put in place, but it is not enough for social distancing. So the Electoral Commission, I think it is your mandate to ensure that people are safe. And in the elections, the fever has not left the young and the old. The young, not even in terms of age, but the young in terms of youth, because all of them have right to be voted for or to vote. And as long as you are a registered voter for that particular place and you are above 18. So some of them, however, we have seen posters all over. Some of them think that leadership is food, leadership is job. No, leadership is not job. It is not food. It's not going to bring the food at your table. You must have your economic activities. You must have a job elsewhere as you lead your people. When you lobby, the allowance may not be enough they're giving you, but when you lobby for your people for several services, you should not say, I'm not benefiting. If you are going into leadership, you must make sure that you are going to lead, you are going to serve your people, whether with or without. So it is a service. It is not a job. And yesterday we witnessed generally the elections, the campaigning is going on as the NRM and other parties are trying to put things together for their primaries. And primaries generally, we are seeing after that one of the youth, it is a little bit fair and relatively peaceful for yesterday, apart from a few instances. And we are praying hard that those incidences that happen more especially for the youth, and then those ones that for MP candidates for other places, we are seeing like Zimbabwe and other places some bit of violence, but I believe that the government and security agencies are trying to do their constitutional mandate to ensure that there is no disturbances of the and bloodshed, which we all know that the government in power has the right to do all what it takes to ensure that there is no bloodshed. And much as the primaries, what I observed yesterday, I saw the primaries of electing councillors of LC3 and chairman LC3s. I was at one tallying center. I went to several polling stations and then one tallying center. I witnessed several kind of violence, but the police was there, and of course it had to contain and control. Much as they were trying to instigate the police to take rough and serious action, but the police was calm. It maintained its professionalism of calmness. And I see these groups of hooligans, these groups of youth, sorry to use that word, hooligans, these groups of youth that we are trying to bring havoc, havoc. According to my observation, they were intoxicated. And those candidates that are trying to intoxicate the youth to bring buvuyos and havoc should stop. Because as if these guys were drunk. I saw guys, ladies and boys were kind of drunk. So if at all alcohol is involved in an election, that one will not work. I think the authorities should take keen eye on that, when, more especially when we are coming to the general elections, whereby different candidates from different political groupings are contesting. So we will be bringing more of the details of the elections, and for this report, I'm very glad to bring you some candidates who passed through the vote that took place yesterday, the councillors and chairman LC3, chairpersons LC3 rather, and those ones that did not go through and they had their issues. They were alleging that there are some connivance of officials to rig them, to rig votes, and they were denied their vote. Some votes were cancelled, some votes were cancelled. So I'm bringing them to you, and please enjoy them. As the National Resistance Movement Party primaries continues to take shape in the country, many were elected as flag bearers yesterday. The election that was described by some as peaceful, some supporters of candidates who did not go through were seen exchanging bitter words with the Electoral Commission officials. Here at the Tally Center in Kawempe Division, located at Makerere University Yellow Primary School, losers expressed their dissatisfaction, alleging the Electoral Commission officials of conniving some of their opponents to deny them victory.
Petition mu Electoral Commission ya NRM nga twemulugunya kubagenda okulondesa. Kennedy ayebale yalondeseza mu Mitchell Hall, ate nga mama we yesimbyewo ne candidate waffe by the names of Kalahuma Elizabeth Mama Ken.
Ne babba nejira ne jigwawo ne babba twagala mazima. Mama Ken awangudde bannange mulangirire Mama Ken.
This led to the cancellation of some elections, like that of Makerere University Mulukawan zone.
It's mad with a lot of conflicts, a lot of kavuya, a lot of chaos. And in many of the polling stations, we managed not to vote. We have been talking with the head of the NRM party in the university, and have actually discussed with him.
Those who went through expressed their gratitude towards their voters and reiterated their continued support come general elections.
NRM kuruno ewangudde kubanga elections za primaries zibadde nungi era ddala nsuubira obuwanguzi obwo tugenda butwalira ddala ne mu general elections.
Nina lokuba bayiyewo sente naye wabula naye ate ffe bannange nina abantu NRM ebeewo twagala Museveni ate tukaddiire Museveni.
According to observers, the elections were relatively peaceful, apart from a few instances of chaos and delays in declaring winners. Police and other security agencies were seen monitoring the situation to ensure that there is peace and whoever brings violence is brought to book. It should be remembered that the recently concluded National Resistance Movement elections in the country were marred by violence, which prompted the president to warn all those who have plans of bringing chaos in the elections to be careful.
You're still watching GMI television, and of course we are on YouTube, Facebook and Instagram. And it is my privilege still and honor to bring you always a variety of programs. And in this program, varieties of programs will be talking about other things, bringing you different things that like entertainment and life stories. But for this political, economic and social talk show, the Mirror is the program, right? The Mirror is the program, and my name is Rick Ashaba. I will be bringing you segments of contestants or candidates that have passed through their different primaries, and we give you the platform, we give them the platform so that you can hear what they are going to do for you. They will be using this platform and they campaign, they give you, tell you what's on their manifesto, what's on their manifestos, and then you'll be able to choose either you vote for them or you don't vote for them. You will be making your own choice as a result of what you hear from them. Different candidates from different levels will be appearing on this channel, and ladies and gentlemen, you always have to tell a friend to watch, subscribe and share, because if you share with a friend, the friend will share with a friend, and the friend will tell a friend to do the same, to ensure that your candidate, your favorite candidate, passes through, or your colleagues elsewhere there get to know what your candidate wants to give them or wants to serve, how he wants or she wants to serve them, so that they can make their own choices during the elections or at the time of. As for now, I wish you well, and my name is Rick Ashaba. As always, I appeal to you to remain calm. I appeal to you to join these elections. I appeal to you to be vigilant, to whoever wants to bring caviar or confusion in these elections. Desist from caviar, desist from those confrontations, remain calm, stay safe, always watch GMI-TV Uganda. Go to our Facebook page, go to YouTube and Instagram and subscribe, share and like. My name is Rick Ashaba. Till then, stay safe.